God chooses friendship to change the world. For that reason, Jesus sent them out, the gospel tells us, in pairs. 2 by 2, he sent them out. As friends, he sent them out. The first school of love is our family, and it is good, and it is never enough. At some point in growing up, love takes us beyond our families into the second school of love, our friends. It is in that second school of love that love takes off and we become capable of giving and receiving love like never before. In friendship, love matures. In friendship, love explodes into being. Where would we be without our friends? Our friends are lifelines, channels of grace and of joy. They know us through and through. They support us. They challenge us, hopefully with tender compassion. They become the face of God for us, and through relationships of giving and receiving, we come to understand self-sacrificing love and commitment. Think about all the good things that good friends do for us. Friends bring joy and hope and meaning to our lives. They are witnesses to our lives in a way that family cannot. And so they validate our existence, giving us a sense that I exist in this world. Somebody sees me. I am. They validate. A friend who chooses us for friendship validates our existence. When life throws us more than we think we can possibly bear, our friends are there to comfort, encourage, and support us. When we fail, fall short, and do things of which we are ashamed, rather than giving up on us, friends insist on loving us. They challenge us, and they playfully pester us until we fulfill our capabilities. With friends, we can relax our hearts. We can let down our guards. We can stop pretending and experience the delightful freedom that comes from knowing that because we are loved and because we are accepted as who we are, there's nothing we need to hide. Perhaps best of all, when we're taking ourselves too seriously or becoming a bit grouchy and irritable, friends help us put everything back into perspective by getting us to laugh, especially at ourselves. And yet, because friendships are so essential in our lives, they are often taken for granted. It does not occur to us, oftentimes, it doesn't even occur to us that much of our happiness is because of our friendships, our growth in and because of our friendships. In today's culture, the joys of friendship are becoming a real challenge to achieve. Things that pass as friendships perhaps really aren't. Pseudo-friendships are tempting to satisfy, but they really only make things worse. Even so, we become whole, which is to say we become fully developed persons as we experience and sustain intimacy through our friendships. Not through phone calls so much, not texts, not Facebook, but embodied love, the body of my friend sitting across from me in conversation with me, actually being my friend and receiving the gift of his vulnerability or her wisdom. in person. The scriptures are so filled with friendships. Jesus and his beloved disciple. Jesus and the Magdalene. Jesus and the little family, siblings, Martha and Mary and Lazarus, where he spent much of his time, free time. David and Jonathan reaching back to the Hebrew world. Paul and Timothy reaching forward to ours. And in Christian spirituality, many friendships are held up as icons for us. Abelard and Heloise, Francis and Claire, Gregory Nunzianzen and Basil, Francis de Sales and Jane Frances de Chantal, Margaret Mary Alacoque and Claude Colombier, Rose of Lima and Martin de Porres. This litany of saints reminds us that we experience salvation and communion with God through our relationships with each other. And the deeper and richer the relationships are, the deeper our experience of salvation and communion becomes for us. Throughout the ages and in every culture, friendship is vital, and Christian friendship brings unique blessings and challenges. They bring gifts and possibilities, and they constantly encourage us to deepen friendships and make them more explicitly a part of our spiritual life. As a matter of fact, you and I, we are made for friendship. We are made for friendship. We are fashioned throughout life just for friendship. As human beings made in the image and likeness of God, we are not only capable of profound friendship, but we need friendships to become genuine human beings. We need friendships to become genuine human beings and true Christians. Human friendships are a means of coming to understand transcendent friendships. In other words, human friendships, are a source of an immediate and loving bond with God. Every human friendship is an immediate source of a loving bond with God, whether we know it or not. As grown-ups now, when we are hurting, suffering, it's not usually our parents we turn to for comfort. It's usually our friends who we ask to accompany us. We turn to those who already know us, to the friendships we've invested ourselves in that already have a baseline of trust. Jesus asked his friends to go with him to Jerusalem. He asked his friends to stay awake with him in the Garden of Gethsemane on the night before he died. Jesus turned to his friends to accompany him when he was hurting. Jesus formed a circle of friends as a lifeline for himself and as a model for us. He called us not servants, not slaves. He said, I call you friends. And when it comes right down to it, we all have and suffer from addictions, you and I, of some sort or another. Genuine friends help us face the truth we would rather ignore. It takes years of friendship to get to that level of friendship. Friendship means so much to me. I always wonder about whether there are people who have absolutely no friends at all. And just thinking about that possibility moves me to tears. I've also come to appreciate more and more how vital it is for people to have meaningful conversations in regular contact with good friends as we near the finish line of life. Yesterday in this chapel, yesterday afternoon, many gathered here to celebrate a friend, a coworker who is dying. I wish you could have heard the depth of sharing of his coworker, his partner in business, his mentor and his friend, of 35 years. His co-worker, his partner, and his friend of 35 years. His words carried the depth they did because of 35 years of friendship and working together. And one last thing. Speak to God as to a friend. When you go to pray, speak to God as you would to a friend. Father Bill Lyons, many of you will remember him if you've been around for a while. He lived here 10 years while he was spiritual director in the seminary, and then he went on to live here another 10 years while he was a spiritual director in Rome at the North American College, and he would come home every summer and every Christmas while he lived there. And over again, from when I met him when I was just a college student, when I would be trying to figure out how to pray, he would just say, Gary, just speak to God as you would to a friend. Often he said that to me. If that's true, and it certainly seems to be true for me, then conversations with friends are teaching me how to pray. My conversations with friends are teaching me how to pray. My friends, deep friendships are the greatest achievement of our lives. The only thing better is sustaining them. Two by two, he sent them out in pairs as friends. Because you see, God chooses friendship to change the world.